Next segment tonight. Last night I debated Dr. Austin Goolsbee, a Democrat. At issue was my contention that his party doesn't care a whit about criminal illegal aliens in this country. Dr. Goolsbee offered this dissent.
The thing that is objectionable about Donald Trump's policy is he started by saying let's deport criminals, and now he's redefining
I'm not sure he's redefining it. I haven't seen any redefinition. I haven't seen any. Now, Dr. Goolsbee was referring to Homeland Security directives that say aliens who commit minor crimes may also be targeted. The big picture is that the Trump administration may deport illegal aliens who have now committed some low-level crimes, including welfare fraud. Also, Homeland Security also has the authority to deport anyone they see as, quote, a risk to public safety. Joining us from Austin, Texas, Karl Rove. So it's my belief that if you start to round up, as Juan was saying, people getting traffic tickets, all right, even though you can be an illegal alien in California and get a driver's license, if you start to do that and you're pulling chambermaids out of Motel 6s or whatever, that Americans are not going to want it. Am I wrong?
No, I agree with you. And look, that's not what Secretary Kelly apparently wants either. He recognizes in these two memoranda, which incidentally are available on the first page of the Department of Homeland Security, so any American can go and read them. He makes it clear that that they want to prioritize the use of the resources of the Department of Homeland Security to focus on people who've committed criminal acts or engaged in criminal behavior. And his spokesmen have made it clear in the interviews this day that they do not anticipate, they don't have the resources to round up 11 million people, nor do they have any intention of doing that.
And just today, there were new guidelines put out, and mostly more Border Patrol agents, more ICE agents back, and stuff like that. But the DACA, 750,000 DACA people, they're not going to be deported. I mean, that was not in the new Homeland Security
directive.
In fact,
explicit. In fact, they went out of their way to say explicitly there.
Yeah,
right.
Unless
Look, the people.
But that doesn't stop. That doesn't stop the Democratic Party, and I'm using that in a general sense, not all Democrats, but the hierarchy is continuing to go out and say he wants to deport the gardeners. They can't get the farm workers. He's scaring everybody. The facts don't seem to matter. So therefore, my contention is that President Trump, if he wants to win hearts and minds, he's got to stick on the facts, as we do here on this program, and pick up, you know, the threads of the Seattle situation, the Steinle situation, because those are factual.
Yeah. Well, look, I'd make 2 points. First of all, you know, I was interested last week. 74% of the people who are rounded up in the ICE roundup
had criminal records.
No. 74% of them had felony criminal records. Virtually all of them had some form of criminal record that was not a felony. For example, they had an order to remove themselves from the country and hadn't, or they were charged with a criminal offense but it had not been resolved. So, but 74% under the definition of ICE were people who had criminal offenses that they had committed.
It didn't matter.
So I went back and looked. This is the report for 2016, and it's emblematic of the report for every year that President Obama has been in office, and that is his roundups got no more than 59% of the people who fell into the same hardcore category that generated 74% last year, 74% last week. In fact, last year, 2,000 people. Remember that kid who swept up in Seattle because his uncle's a drug dealer and he's a dreamer? Last year, there were 2,000 such people whom Barack Obama's administration caught as a result of their sweep and whom they sent back. And we didn't see a screaming and shouting that we're seeing now. Now, look, I'm with you. I don't think it's wise for the administration to engage in trying to round up and send home 11 million people. But I think these steps that they've gotten, I mean, think about this. This is literally what it says. Here's what you're going to prioritize. Anybody who's committed a criminal offense. Anybody who's been charged with a criminal offense, but it hasn't been resolved in a court of law. Anybody who's committed a chargeable offense, somebody who has engaged in fraud to achieve a government benefit, somebody who has abused a benefit program, somebody who is subject to a lawful removal order and has failed to comply with it, or somebody, as you said, who's a risk to public safety or national security. That's a pretty good standard that I think a lot of people would agree with.
Well, so we have a new poll tomorrow, we're going to say, but there are 950,000 people with deportation orders right now that haven't been served. So you can expect in the next 6 months to a year that there's just going to be all hell breaking loose in this country because Homeland Security is going to go after those 950,000. And you know, you saw what happened last week when 653 were rounded up. So this is going to be the story of the year, I believe.
We do need to have an answer on how to resolve humanely the people who've been law-abiding and kept their nose clean and been a part of our society for some number of years.
That debate in Congress should begin as soon as possible. Mr. Rove, thank you. Directly